Hey, welcome back to my shop. So I just finished cleaning my shop and then I realized that I have a custom order. So in about 15 minutes, I'm going to make a big mess of this again. So I thought I'd show you around, well, it looks like this. But this is a picture of what it looks like after any big project. So the center of any workshop is, of course, a table saw, and this is my table saw that I picked up used off of Craigslist. So most of my big tools are used because then I was able to get the quality that fit my budget. Of course, my most used items are clamps. So this is kind of clamp station number 1 for my big Bessie clamps, and then you're going to see my small clamps soon. I've rearranged my shop since the last tour. My bandsaw is now over here. I did lose some dust collection on it in order to gain dust collection on the router table. So I'm not totally sold. I love the location, but I'm going to have to do something about that. I like to have my everyday tools as visible as possible. So if I put them in a drawer or behind a door, I'm much less likely to know where they are and be able to find them when I need them. So here I have, impact drivers, drill type station, and battery packs. And then I try to keep everything up on these magnets so that I'm able to see things at eye level and grab what I need. So my miter saw station here, I took off the doors and was able to put a lot of small part storage, which has been really handy. I have a lot of dust collection, really focused on that for my miter saw because that's really messy. And I have a measuring tape here, which works really, really well, and I'm able to clamp stop blocks on the front of the countertops. And I positioned this specifically so that when I had a really long board, I could just open this door. So like when I was building my shed and stuff, I had to do that. So I can just open the door and run boards all the way out, and I'm able to get, unlimited cutting space that direction, and I still have 8 feet of cutting space to the other side. So I have my small clamps here, and then this works out really well just for, chisels and little things. So that's been very, very handy to have. One of the best things I did in my shop is I super insulated it and added a mini split, and I live in Arizona, so this keeps me comfortable all year round. All right, so first of all, on the door right now I made just an insulated kind of frame that's just held up by magnets because it's summertime at this time, so that helps to block out a lot of the heat, but I can easily just pull it down if I want to get some natural light in here. My dust collector was a big upgrade for me, and the Super Dust Deputy works fantastic. I have filled up this barrel probably about a dozen times now, and I still have nothing that has come through my filter bag. So this setup is great. I found just kind of a little hack on YouTube of how to make my own light system. So it has an infrared sensor in it, and it costs about $30 to make, and it's wonderful. That is what has saved me from ever letting this get too full and gumming up my filter. So my filter is just like brand new, and it should stay that way pretty much forever because I'm able to tell as soon as this is filled. As soon as it's filled, it lights up red. So my planer is a DeWalt, and I upgraded to the helical heads, which was definitely a game changer, especially for as much figured lumber as I use. And it works so great that I rarely ever need to use my drum sander anymore, which is great because it's kind of a small model, doesn't work that great. Definitely a tool that I wouldn't have purchased again, and I will probably upgrade at some point. I have a little hand tool station here for my mallets, pull saw, planes, and that's been very handy as well. I purchased this big workbench used from somebody who lived close by, and they actually delivered it for me, and I got it for next to nothing, which was great. But it was pretty beat up. So this weekend I actually just switched out the temper board on top because between his wear and tear and then me abusing it for a few years, it was in pretty rough shape. I also just refurbished this vise, and it was an old rusted vise actually from my school shop, and so I was able to totally refurbish it and make this with bench dogs, which are going to be really handy, especially for holding some of the odd shaped items that I use a lot. So I'm pretty excited about that. I also built in a downdraft table just in the edge here of my bench, so it just goes this far and is actually able to get a lot of dust if I'm sanding. I just pull my tube here to it, or just when I'm assembling and making a mess of things, it's very nice to just be able to take all the dust or whatever and just go like that and have it disappear. So at my drill press here, I made a different table for it, have a really good dust collection to it. And then I just made a little cart where I'm able to keep all of my different Forstner bits and smaller bits and miscellaneous pieces. I built this big carousel several years ago when I had a small drill press and a small bandsaw and stuff, but now it has just become my sanding station. So I have my disc sander, an oscillating sander, and then just storage for a bunch of just little power tools. All right, I have a nice industrial strength power strip here that I picked up at a used center. And then this is a really convenient place to just keep my glue and my wax paper, so when I bring my clamps over and I'm assembling, it's all right there in reach. So one thing that has changed in this past year is I've been doing a lot more custom work and trying to figure out this electronic world a little bit more. So I do have a small laser and a small CNC, and then I built this bench to accommodate that, as well as some scrap wood and miscellaneous things on the side, as all the laser goggles and hearing protection, things like that. So this has been something that I've been working really hard on and have discovered that there's a huge learning curve for. So I have a whole new level of respect for people who have mastered, especially the CNC. So I built this router table several years ago, and I picked up a used Incra Ultra jig, which has been awesome. And you can check out my double box joint, stuff like that, other videos. But in doing so, I ended up with a Dust Right box, and I didn't have enough suction where I had it, so I included it in my main dust collection system, so I had to move it. So that's how it ended up over here. But I've been extremely happy with this setup. It's fantastic. I picked up this Grizzly jointer used as well, and it already had the helical head, so that was fantastic. 6-inch with helical head fit into my budget much better than an 8-inch, and I would, for me personally, take the helical head over more space because I use a lot of figured lumber. Even though you probably notice slabs and bins of lumber all over my shop, this is my main massive storage space for lumber. So I built this. I like being able to have lumber that I store upright so that it's always the bottom board that you need. So even though I do have some of that situation in the back, I try to keep a lot of my lumber stored this direction. If we come around here, so in the center I have space for full sheets of plywood. And then, of course, here is a spot for more just long boards. All right, so this space has been super clean for like 10 minutes, so I guess now it's time for me to mess it up again. So please, subscribe so that you can follow my projects, and have a great day.